couple of quick announcements about what we're going to be doing today, as well as what's upcoming for the Dems. On Wednesday, July 30th, in the underground of the Historic Masonic Theater, 6 to 7:30 p.m. We are going to be having a training session with Abigail Spanberger's regional committee head. So this is a great opportunity for us to learn how we can go out and how we can speak with people to try to get Abigail Spanberger elected. I feel really fortunate that we convinced them to come. So July 30th, it's a Wednesday, 6 to 7:30 p.m., Underground Historic Masonic Theater. Okay? I'm sure that you have all heard Audre Lorde's sentence, "Your silence will not protect you," right? All right, now more than ever, our silence will not protect us. We're here today to begin the important process of connecting with one another, of breaking the silence in the face of damaging and dangerous legislation that will, sooner than we know, trickle down here in Alleghany County. Together, our words will be heard. So thank you all for coming to be seen, to speak, and to be in unity with us. So I'd like to take a moment to let you know that we will be inviting every one of you to come to the microphone after we get to hear Mr. Mitchell's talk. You all are free to come up, express your feelings, tell us what you know, tell us your story, okay? Tell us how what is happening in our country right now may well affect your life in your time, all right? So that's the invitation. It's up to you to receive it. All right, Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay? Okay, good. Well, how about come on in out of that sun a little bit, huh? Can we turn this thing this way and maybe get folks out of the sun?
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't feel... Sir, I see you. Good. As I was introduced, I ran for the 6th Congressional District, U.S. House of Representatives here in the Valley and up in the Highlands. And I ran for a lot of the reasons that you guys are activated and mobilized here. And first, let me congratulate the Alleghany Democratic Committee for regathering and organizing and getting all of this done for Alleghany County. It is a major step forward in rural Virginia for that to happen up here in Alleghany, you know. And all too often I've been stating anywhere I go, whether I'm talking to the Democratic Committee up in Washington, the DCCC, or the Virginia Democratic committees, that all too often the 6th Congressional District has been left behind in a rural aspect, and we need to get beyond that. The Democratic Party of Virginia only gives 3% of its campaign funds over to the 6th District. And rest assured, I'm all over them about getting that up, at least tripled. We need to get about 9, 10, 11% of that budget so we can fight this. But I want to take a second, because I was handed this a second ago. The future is local. And let me give you just a little statistic about local for a moment. Every dollar you spend in Clifton Forge at a local owned business, restaurant, keeps 68 cents of every dollar you spend in this community. When you go to a corporate organization, and there's a little place down the road when I was coming in, you know, a Dollar Colonel or whatever we want to say, I don't want to get in trouble with them. Every time you spend there, about 5 cents of your money stays in the community. The rest of it is sucked up into corporate America. But every dollar you spend supporting this insurance company, this inn, or whatever the local business is, you keep 68 cents of every dollar in this community. And that is important and that is vital. But let me talk to what the future is local and what that means. Safe neighborhoods. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take each one of these and try to relate what this big spending bill that was passed by one vote in the House allowed it to go on to the Senate. And people, rest assured, had I been in Congress, that bill would not have gone, because I would have been one of the votes that voted against it and say, no, there's no way this is going on. When we put legislation in the middle of the night and we negotiate and we do all of that outside of public view, you know something's not right. I remember my father telling me, son, if you're out past midnight doing something, you're probably up to no good. And that's how that bill went through the House. And we can't have that. But I want to address that bill possibly to each of these. Safe neighborhoods, right? That is law enforcement. That is the community stepping up to self-police its own neighborhoods. Stand by your neighbors and stand and be good. You know, there is also funding that has to come out of the government, so you have good sidewalks, safe streets, and that. That budget, my friend, has been cut. So safe neighborhoods, good neighborhoods, it's being threatened by this big bill that they passed. Good schools. Look at what this administration has done to the Department of Education. And even today, as we stand here right now, they are withholding funding that had been appropriated and approved by Congress, and they're not releasing it. So we have a lot of adult education and a lot of summer school for children's programs that are not being funded because of this bill. Access to affordable health care. My friends, that is absolutely crucial to us, because there are 5 rural hospitals in the Virginia 6th Congressional District. 4 of them are critical care facilities, and Lewis Gale is one of those hospitals. And with the Medicaid cut, the Medicare cut, and the SNAP cuts that are occurring, the funding that will go to these rural hospitals is going to be extremely limited. Extremely, extremely limited. You're going to be forced to go to one of the regional medical facilities, and that may mean you have to go to Augusta County Medical, or you may have to go to Roanoke, or which one is the closest to you. But we have 28 rural hospitals in Virginia. 80% of them are operating in the red before the cuts occur. And that's because 75% of their customers are on Medicare and Medicaid. And Medicaid, Medicare do not pay the full freight of, they bill you $500 for an x-ray, Medicaid authorizes $90 for it. So they're not paying all the full freight that the hospital's asking for. 75% of the customers that go to a rural hospital are on Medicare, Medicaid. In this district, we have 795,000 people. 28% of those are on Medicare and Medicaid. 221,000 people in the Virginia 6th District will be affected by Medicare and Medicaid cuts. 70,000 of that 221,000 are children that rely 100% on their medical and health care from Medicaid. And we're getting ready to put a big hurt on that. I have always been raised in this country that you could judge a society by how well it takes care of its elderly, its less fortunate, and its children. And this big bill is egregious, absolutely egregious, to the elderly, to our children, and to the less fortunate. Let's talk a second about SNAP benefits. I think they're looking, and so we're talking about $1.4 trillion of health care from Medicaid, Medicare that are being cut from our government and our budget. We're talking about $270 billion out of the SNAP program, and that's putting food in the needy, to the most needy in our nation, our most vulnerable. They're taking it from the elderly and the nursing care that they get. They're taking it from children and any free lunch program, any reduced lunch program, anything. It's taking it from a veteran that might be 70% disabled because they're coming off of a battlefield, and we're taking that benefit away from them. The cuts that they're doing are absolutely devastating to the working class. And what we have seen in this bill, my friends, is the largest transfer of wealth from the working class to the rich that has ever occurred in the history of this nation. And that's the reason why we're doing these cuts to our children, our elderly, our most vulnerable, our veterans, and this society that we live in. We are deviating from what the values are of Americans that we grew up in. Take care of our elderly, take care of those less fortunate, and make sure the future of our nation, our children, are protected and taken care of. They're taking all of that away from us, my friends, with this bill. Clean water, air, and forest. One of the largest environmental investments that was made in this nation was made under the Inflation Reduction Act by the Biden administration. They put more money into environmental issues and into the clean air, clean water. And 100% of that, my friends, has been cut from our budget. So this government is not concerned about our future, our children, our future generations, and clean air, clean water that we all deserve. They're taking that away. And what is their answer? Drill, baby, drill. Take any electric vehicle sort of credit that you may get for doing that. No, we're going into fossil fuel, and that's where we're investing. And it's taking this nation backwards. And I was chatting a moment ago about when we were in 60s and 64, civil rights, and when we fought for the Equal Rights Amendment, civil rights, fair housing acts, and all of this. And we were making advancements as a society and a nation in our civil rights. And we are stepping back from that. We are in Jim Crow era 2, 1.0, mapped up and amped up. Opportunities for our children. You know, as I said a little earlier, you know, I was raised that our children were the future of this nation, and that we invest in their education, we invest in their health care, we invest in their security, we invest into their well-being, because they are the future. And I want you to look at what we're doing to our children. Look at how hard it is today as a millennial, a Gen Z, a Gen X, to buy a home, to afford affordable health care, right? The average median age of a first-time home buyer today is 52 years old. I bought my first home at 28 years old. But the times have changed. And what we've got to do is look at the economic prospects we have throughout the 6th Congressional District and even here in Clifton Forge. One of the things I hear the most from parents out there that have their kids in college and are struggling to get that done is, I know that my children are going to have to move away. We paid to educate them, but we don't have the jobs for them. Well, it's time, my friends, we take a look at economic feasibility here in the 6th District. And one of the things I think we are postured for is green energy. We should be taking jobs and taking light manufacturing, building panels, building all of the control systems, all of the battery storage systems, all of that here in the 6th District, and exporting it. We have to have somebody that has a vision on the future, not saying, hey, we want to stay right where we're at, because where we're at isn't benefiting 75% of this country. So we've got to take a look at that. Respect and dignity for every neighbor. Respect and dignity for every neighbor. That is just, I'm sorry, red letter scripture in the Bible is to treat others as you would have them treat you. And we have got to get to a point. I stand before you not putting a D, an R, or an I behind the issues. The issues are American issues. The issues are Virginian issues. And the sooner we can get beyond the political rhetoric of a Democratic Party, a Republican Party, an Independent Party, and we can stand united as Americans, and putting our country first, not a party, not a president, but our country, the better off we're going to be. It is not too late to save America, but we're all going to have to be engaged, we're all going to have to fight, and we're all going to have to respect one another in doing that. Thank you so much, and it was great to be with you today. Thank you.
All right, I don't know where I would even start if I had to say what was the most affecting line in that talk, because it was a huge reminder to all of us that progress, safety, and freedom is local. It is local. And to have someone like Mr. Mitchell come and remind us of that, we are terrifically grateful. Thank you so much, Ben. So, who's next? Who would like to come share his or her story, thinking, what is it that you are most worried about? What is it that you've come up with as a potential remedy for the difficulties we're having? Come and tell us who you are and what you feel.
Hi, Lucy. Pleasure. Can I take a second? I just want to take a second here because I think this is extremely important. And this is how some of the numbers are affecting Alleghany County specifically. And in 2023, and suspect that these numbers have crept up a little from 2023, but these are the latest numbers that were provided. Medicaid was to 48,000 benefit payments were made in Alleghany County under Medicaid in 2024, right? And yes, sir. Oh, okay. SNAP benefits. The county received $4.46 million in SNAP benefits for subsistence participation. When they cut SNAP 80%. So we're only dealing with 20%. So take 4.46 million and divide it by 20%, 0.2, and that'll tell you what you're going to be looking at for SNAP benefits in the future. The temporary assistance for needy families, around $165,000 in this assistance program were paid and distributed here in Alleghany County. RAMS, Children Health Insurance, provided coverage of $882,000 to eligible children and families. That is coming from Medicaid, my friends, and that has been cut substantially. Now, the way they have postured this bill, I'll give him a second. I certainly hope who's ever on the receiving end of that is okay. So, but the way they have postured this bill, the cuts will not come in until after the midterm elections in 2027. So what we've got to do is we have got to educate the population out here, because they're going to sit here next year and say, hey, they're talking about all this bad stuff happening and it's not happening to me yet. However, there will be cuts that they feel, but the majority of it will not be until after the midterm elections. So we've got to do our part to educate the electorate out here. And as I travel throughout the district, I make sure that the working folks out here understand what that is going to mean. All right, I'm going to turn it back over. And you know, the first step to come up to the microphone to speak is the hardest step. After that, it's going to come easy. So each one of you have something I think you want to say, and I would encourage all of you to come up and have your voice and let us know what you're thinking. Thank you.